the crux of it. Some deranged American general named Jack D. Ripper, about as subtle as a brick to the head, decides the communists are poisoning his precious bodily fluids through water fluoridation and the review. Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove remains a razor-sharp political satire that lampoons the Cold War's nuclear brinkmanship, even as some of its gags creak under scrutiny, and its production shortcuts are all too apparent. Peter Sellers delivers career-defining turns, the war room set is a design marvel, and Kubrick's uneasy blend of deadpan realism and absurdity still hits home. Yet the studio-bound effects and occasionally forced humour remind us that even masterpieces have their flaws. And the film's core warning about mutually assured destruction, MAD, retains its power more than half a century on. Here's the crux of it. Some deranged American general named Jack D. Ripper, about as subtle as a brick to the head, decides the communists are poisoning his precious bodily fluids through water fluoridation and launches a nuclear strike on the Soviet Union without authorization. Insane? Possibly. Still pertinent today? Definitely. The American president then spends the film trying to call back these bombers while surrounded by war-hungry generals and a wheelchair-bound ex-Nazi scientist with a hand that can't stop giving Hitler salutes. Satire and themes, Kubrick frames the film as a black comedy in which the gravest stakes, nuclear Armageddon, are met with the most ridiculous logic, exposing the absurd fragility of human systems and fallible leaders. The film argues that if a deterrent can destroy all life, it defies common sense to claim it has deterred anything, turning the principle of MAD into its own grim punchline. Peter Sellers anchors the role in three distinct roles: Group Captain Mandrake, President Muffley, and the titular Dr. Strangelove, showcasing his range from restrained British officer to manic wheelchair-bound scientist. George C. Scott's General Turgidson brings explosive energy and manic gum-chewing enthusiasm. His accidental on-set tumble was preserved by Kubrick as a sublime comic beat. Slim Pickens as Major King Kong embodies Texan bravado, riding the falling bomb in what is undoubtedly one of cinema's most iconic images ever. Ken Adams' two-level war room dominates the film's visual identity, its vast maps and towering lights creating an almost oppressively grand scale of impending doom. With no US Air Force support, Kubrick built both the war room and a B-52 cockpit on Shepperton's sound stages, later actually fooling bomber crews with the accuracy of his mock-ups. He also used the studio buildings to represent the airbase during the fight when the army are trying to take over. The Arctic sequences were shot by flying over ice fields and manually splicing the footage, a process that now looks, shall we say, more than a little shonky, but at the time, it was cutting edge. The Burleson Air Force Base was often betrayed its studio origins. Corridors were doubling as offices and lighting rigs were peeking into frame, undermining some of the immersion for modern viewers. Kubrick's best humour arises from characters solemnly stumbling into chaos. The seriousness of their tone amplifies each absurd situation, from Turgidson's bathroom phone call to Mandrake's dilemma with a Coca-Cola machine. Yet some puns and character names, Merkin Muffley, Colonel Black Guano, now read as quaintly juvenile, and a handful of sight gags feel overexposed rather than organically funny. Dr. Strangelove forgives few human foibles, paranoia, incompetence, sexual repression, and amplifies them into a cautionary tale where the only assured outcome is global extinction. Despite its dated effects and uneven comedy, its portrait of unchecked military logic and flawed safeguards remains a chilling mirror to any era flirting with total annihilation. In balancing towering satire, iconic performances, and hallmarks of Kubrick's exacting vision against its evidently budgetary and technical constraints, Dr. Strangelove endures as both a flawed artifact of 1960s filmmaking and a timeless warning about the folly of mutually assured destruction. So there you have it. Dr. Strangelove is like that eccentric relative at dinner who spouts complete and utter nonsense, but occasionally says something so profound it silences the room. It's dated, it's ridiculous, but it's essential viewing for understanding both the Cold War era and our own precarious times. There you go, I'm out.
Very nice, John, very nice.
Thank you. Oh, so good evening to the chat room. I see we've got a couple in. Britmate, Shalini, Robin. Good to see you all, guys. Espresso Mechanic.
Good evening, Troll Room.
Hello.
And now we shall progress with you. I think you have a little treat for us, David. Do you?
Yeah, a little je ne sais quoi, A fateful moment, gentlemen, when we face the fact that our species has survived this long only by the grace of our own stupidity. And of course, that's one of the many quotes from Dr. Strangelove. So Stanley Kubrick's dark, politicized satire, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, is one of the weirdest and most bonkers films ever made, that features the late, great Peter Sellers in some of his most iconic roles. As John just said about range, he had a great range in this film. Released at the height of the Cold War tensions, that is kind of debatable because, of course, the Cold War tensions ran into the 70s and the 80s up until the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. So yes, Cold War tensions, and in the years after the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, Dr. Strangelove blends military madness, political paranoia, absurdity, and the dangers, as John just summated there, of how quickly nuclear conflict can escalate. And just to echo what John said again, folks, it's weird, it's bonkers, it's very, very dark and satirical, but it's worth a watch, as well as the quite often some of the haminous acting that we get in it. But there is a reason for that, and why Kubrick is actually presenting it like that as such. So yeah, get into the time machine, go back to the 60s, see what you think. It's only about 1 hour 35 minutes, just over 90 minutes, but it's worth a bit of your time, folks. Dip your wick in and see what you think. I enjoyed it.
A grumpy Scot with a pint in hand, ripping through films like a one-man band. Snarky cinema where the burns are hot, honest reviews you'll never forgot. Oh hey, oh hey, let the truth be told. No sugar here, it's biting and bold. With smirk and a scowl and a hearty laugh, the grumpy Scot is here to riff your craft. From cringe remakes to sequels gone wrong, he'll tear them apart all video long. But if it's a gem, he'll tip his hat. Rare moments when praise comes from this cat. Sequels gone wrong, he'll tear them apart all video long. But if it's a gem, he'll tip his hat. Rare moments when praise comes from this cat. Snark so sharp it'll cut through steel, honesty that you can taste and feel. No fluff, no fuss, it's a Scottish creed. For brutal truth the world does plead. Oh hey, oh hey, let the truth be told. No sugar here, it's biting and bold. With a smirk and a scowl and a hearty laugh, the grumpy Scot is here to riff your craft. So grab your popcorn and duck for cover. It's cinema chats with a twist to discover. Snarky Scot with reviews that sting. A brutally honest movie rating.